Hey everyone, Phil here, and I'd like to welcome you to a special episode of Stay Tuned. It's special because it's the first one that I ever recorded. It was technically the second episode of the show, but it was the first one that has the format that I'm still doing to this point. The very first one was almost like I was reading a news report and I was just going through a bunch of different things. So that format kind of went away immediately. And the format that I started with the following episode is the one that I've kept going forward, with some minor alterations, of course. So it was all about Mickey Mouse and his history. And since we are in November, which is Mickey Mouse's 90th birthday, and that was the reason I did that episode, was to honor Mickey on his 90th birthday, I would like to present that to you now to the YouTube audience, because the only place you can hear this episode is right now is if you are a current subscriber of the show on Patreon, which of course you can always go and do. But I wanted to make this episode available to the general public on YouTube, since it was kind of the first one, and I went back and listened to it. I'm now 27 episodes into Stay Tuned. So this is over 27 weeks ago, and it's definitely different sounding. It was before I had a theme song, but I hope you enjoy it, and I think there's a lot of good content still in there, and I hope that you check out the new show, the new episodes, and compare it to the old one and kind of see, how far it's come in all of these weeks. It's been actually 7 months at this point since I started Stay Tuned. So, yeah. And without further ado, away we go. You're listening to Stay Tuned on channel Retail Sunshine, here at statiONhead Radio. I'm your host, Phil Machi, an Austin, Texas-based cartoonist and creator of the now 10-year-old comic strip series, Retail Sunshine. My works can be discovered at retailsunshine.com and found on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all under the name Retail Sunshine. Tonight's special episode is dedicated to none other than the world's most famous mouse, Mickey. You'll hear about his creation, career highs and lows, and even where he finds himself in the year 2018, as he celebrates his 90th birthday. All that, and you'll have a chance to share your thoughts, questions, and opinions live on the air. Before we start things off, I'd like to take a quick moment to make an announcement. I have big plans for Stay Tuned, and if you'd like to see this show reach new heights, there's a way you can help. Starting tonight, a Patreon account has been developed for this show with some really fantastic rewards. Your support will enable me to consistently produce higher and higher quality shows, and of course, expand. Be sure to head on over to patreon.com/Phil Machi to check out the rewards tonight. And now, let the show begin. Internationally, his appeal is unparalleled. As a corporate icon, he is envied. And as an entertainer, few can achieve the smiles he inspires. That's right, tonight we're talking about none other than Mickey Mouse. I feel compelled to say here at the top of the show that tonight's topic was a daunting one. There is enough history behind Mickey Mouse to create a series of documentaries, so think of tonight as merely the tip of the iceberg, and perhaps I'll revisit this subject in the future. I'd like to start tonight's show by getting personal. My family and I spent many a summer staying at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Between the toys, films, and a healthy dose of the Disney Channel at home, this was a character I came to know intimately. Mickey cartoons were something I memorized as a child, and he even graced my bedroom in the form of a wallpaper design. Beyond that, I came to admire Walt Disney himself. And while it's true, to many people, the company that he began has now become synonymous with greed and ambition, there's still an undeniable spirit that lies at its core.
It is a spirit of determination, imagination, and the pursuit of joy. 2018 marks Mickey's 90th birthday of when he first emerged on the silver screen back in 1928, although his story goes back farther than that. The story of the mouse named Mickey is also the story of a rabbit named Oswald. September of 1927 marked the premiere cartoon of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, a character created by Walt and his right-hand animator, Ub Iwerks. Those cartoons were produced for Charles Mintz and were distributed by Universal Studios, and while Walt eventually left the art of animating to his artists, like Ub Iwerks, he still remained heavily involved. Most people don't know just how much Ub Iwerks was instrumental to Walt's success, but truly, Ub was the man behind the animation and character designs. If Walt was the brain, Ub was the hand. Walt was really more of a big-picture guy, an idea man who was an artist in his own right, but who focused more so on the business side of things. Walt was a visionary, a dreamer. He knew what needed to happen in order for his characters to come to life and have staying power with the viewer. As Walt said, "I want the characters to be somebody. I don't want them just to be a drawing." Walt started assigning specific actions to his characters so they would have their own personality. This is probably the main turning point that caused his works to stand out amongst all the other copycats, literally amongst Felix the Cat, Crazy Cat, and his own Julius the Cat. It's absolutely what led to the creation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Under Walt's guidance, there were 27 Oswald shorts produced until 1928, when an unthinkable betrayal led to the Stuff of Legends. Again, the Oswald shorts were being produced for Charles Mintz under Universal Pictures. Mintz felt that Walt should take a 20% cut given the financial status of the times, and in 1928, when Walt was looking to renegotiate the budget for the Oswald shorts, he took a little trip to New York City with his wife. What he got in return was the discovery that he had signed a contract giving Universal full control of the character, and that most of his staff had already signed on with the rival company behind his back to continue working on the Oswald shorts. Walt had lost his character and needed a way to come back. It was this need that spawned the creation of Mickey. Walt decided on the trade ride home that he would create a new character in secret, and this time he would retain all rights of ownership. Later that year, Steamboat Willie, Mickey's first official cartoon short, premiered. Steamboat Willie was a paramount moment for Mickey because he soon catapulted into an overnight sensation, even overshadowing Oswald. Part of what led to his success was that this cartoon marked the first one with synchronized sound. This included sound effects and music all timed with the visuals on screen. Walt knew that synchronized sound was the future, and his efforts paid off instantly, to say the least. Walt Disney and Ub Iwerks would go on to produce roughly 20 animated Mickey Mouse cartoons before Ub eventually left Walt to start his own studio. With the help of multiple animators, Walt managed to replace Ub and continued producing cartoons, but as Mickey grew in popularity, particularly with children, the artists found it increasingly difficult to come up with stories for him because, you see, Mickey had become something of a role model to children. These short cartoons led to a Mickey Mouse fan club that, by 1932, had gained 1 million members. Merchandising was flourishing. Indeed, this mouse had established himself as a household name, and there was seemingly no signs of stopping him. However, by the end of the 1930s, Mickey found himself declining in popularity. As a way to revitalize him, Walt planned a big-budget cartoon short called The Sorcerer's Apprentice. In it, Mickey uses a sorcerer's forbidden magic to make life easier, only to cause more trouble than he ever expected. Due to rising production costs, which the short would most likely not recoup, Walt included the short instead among a number of other animated segments set to classical music that he combined to become Fantasia. Fantasia was the first commercial film to be shown in stereophonic sound. This meant leasing theaters and installing special equipment just to reproduce what they dubbed Fantasound. Between all the added costs and the effects of World War II, which made European distribution of the film impossible, Fantasia was critically acclaimed but a financial failure. In recent years, Fantasia has since been regarded a classic, made up its monetary losses, and even spawned a sequel back in '99. From the 30s up through the 1950s, Mickey began to rely on his supporting cast, especially Donald Duck. This forced him to take more of a back seat to other characters who weren't as highly revered. Eventually, the last regular Mickey Mouse short was produced in 1953 called The Simple Things. Moving forward, Mickey mostly made cameo appearances and starred in the occasional full-length feature, including productions like Mickey's Christmas Carol in 1983 and the controversial short film Runaway Brain in '95. He even had a guest spot in the live-action animated film Who Framed Roger Rabbit alongside Bugs Bunny. Mickey's career has led to several direct-to-video films, including 2004's Three Musketeers. He made a brief comeback to the world of short cartoons from 1999 to 2000 in a series of 25 episodes under the show name Mickey Mouse Works, a series that borrowed heavily from the format perfected in the 50s. Mickey's media influence seems never-ending, with several video games to his name. Perhaps most notable of these is 2010's Epic Mickey. Why was this game and its sequels so, well, epic? This series saw the return of the estranged Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Yes, back in 2006, Oswald was reacquired by the Walt Disney Company in a trade deal with Universal. What makes this game series even more noteworthy is how it was so self-aware. The story centered around how Oswald was discarded and forgotten years ago, which led to some major jealousy issues between him and Mickey. Ultimately, the pair work out their differences and save the day together, but not before some sibling rivalry. It seems appropriate to me and somehow necessary that the elephant in the room of Oswald being replaced was properly addressed, and I remain impressed at how well Oswald has been gradually reintegrated into the Disney family of characters. More recently, Mickey has since found a bit of a resurgence since 2013. A brand new short called Get a Horse was a CGI animated film that combined black and white segments with color animation and harkened back to Mickey's roots in terms of style and subject. This was not only the first Mickey Mouse short since 1995, but it also featured a brief cameo by Oswald, his first appearance on the big screen with Disney in 85 years. Get a Horse aired as an opener to the feature film Frozen. 2013 also saw the emergence of a brand new series of Mickey Mouse shorts created for the Disney Channel and directed by Paul Rudish. The 2D cartoons, produced for Disney by Canadian animation studio Mercury Filmworks, are an incredible blend of Mickey's traditional sensibilities with a modern animation flair. This series has been met by some criticism since it tosses to the wayside the visual style that Mickey has evolved into. However, it is also being applauded for making ambitious moves like a number of episodes recorded exclusively in foreign languages and taking place in those countries. Ultimately, the universal stories and slapstick execution prove to be entertaining in any language. The cartoon shorts are undeniably full of vitality, heart, and humor. It really feels like the best way Mickey could be kept relevant and yet true to himself, through a series that embraces his roots while acknowledging modern animation trends. So, what's next for Mickey? Well, he has recently been announced to appear in 2 new films, one of which is centered around the Magic Kingdom theme park at Walt Disney World. The other is a film centered around Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, similar to their buddy films going back to the original short series. Believe it or not, he's even getting his very first theme park ride at the Disney Hollywood Studios in Orlando, Florida. While Mickey has had a number of voice actors represent him through the years, he was first voiced by Walt Disney himself. For me, that's part of his charm, as each actor since has been emulating the man behind the mouse. Mickey was created out of adversity. There was once a great injustice done to Walt and Iwerks. Out of the ashes from that moment in time came a plucky little mouse whose can-do attitude and determined spirit were embodied in the voice of a young animator and entrepreneur, which all seems very kismet. Perhaps this is what has enabled the character to last for so long. He is the combination of positives despite the negatives that led to his creation. His complex history is juxtaposed by his simple and pleasing design. Personally, I like to believe that the spirit in which something is created is imbued into that creation. Indeed, when we see that big grin across Mickey's face, we're, in a sense, looking at Walt himself. To this day, the Walt Disney Company is known for being particularly ruthless when it comes to creative license and intellectual property ownership, and while many people chastise them for this, it doesn't take much imagination to view this as an extension of Walt's original promise to himself of never letting another Oswald situation happen again. None of us truly know what all went down behind the scenes, but for a character who went from desperate incarnation to plucky comedian to hero and finally beloved icon, I can't think of a better example of the American spirit. The corporation he represents has had somewhat of a checkered history and continues to this day to be the subject of controversy, but at the end of the day, when we look past the money and fame, what we're left with is a drawing on a page. A drawing who, just as his creator originally intended, has undoubtedly become the ultimate somebody, and who is clearly more than just a drawing. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I'll now have a brief intermission, and you're welcome to let me know in the chat room if you'd like for me to bring you on, and you can share your stories of your own Mickey memories as well. Thanks once again, and now a brief intermission.
I'm the guy they call it the Mickey Mouse. Got a sweetie down in the chicken house. Neither fat nor skinny, she's the horse that's Winnie. She's my little Minnie Mouse. When it's feeding time for the animals, and they howl and growl at the cannibals, I just turn my heel to the hen house steal, and you hear me sing this song. Oh, the old tomcat with his meow, meow, meow. Old hound dog with his bow, wow, wow. The crows caw, caw, and the mules hee-haw. Flash was a racket like an old buzzsaw. I have listened to the cuckoo, cuckoo's cuckoo, and I've heard the rooster cock his doodle-doo.
right. I thought that was pretty fun. Well, once again, everybody, thanks so much for listening. And just a reminder, once again, there is a brand new Patreon account for the show. It is patreon.com/Philmachi. And join me here next week again at Sunday, which is going to be it's still April 29th at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. So thanks so much for listening, and see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Take care.